What is the Internet Accountability Project, and what are you all trying to achieve with this?
Well, we are a bipartisan group of folks, usually associated with the populist movement, that is really trying to hold big tech accountable. We're concerned about the control they have over the conversations in society. We're concerned about the control they have over the minds of the next generation. And we really want to dig into this question. What is big tech doing to us from a financial perspective, from a literacy perspective, but also from an antitrust perspective? Is this the appropriate way of handling this from a public policy perspective? IAP is here to facilitate all of those conversations.
You know, conservatives are about small government and sort of getting the government out of your pocketbook and out of your life, basically. Is this kind of antithetical to conservative ideas in some ways? Do you think you're going to face some backlash from fellow conservatives about this project that you all are launching?
Conservatives are for small government, and we don't want sort of this nanny state that says what we can and cannot do. However, I don't think that starting this conversation automatically leads to that outcome. I think there is a legitimate conversation to be had whether or not our public policy has kept up with the pace of innovation. We want to protect that innovation. It has what made these companies successful in the first place. It's what makes America successful, is allowing companies to innovate, be creative, and create wealth in that way. But when it oversteps and it starts to control aspects of society, it starts to control our conversations culturally and politically, that I think is when you have to say, what is it that we're doing here? Are we balancing the correct public policy with the pace of innovation? And I also think they have to acknowledge that this idea of build your own Google is not necessarily operative anymore in this environment that we're in.
Expound on that. What is build your own Google?
Any kind of search engine or, social media platform that gets near these guys, that even tries to compete with these guys, gets bought out.
Right.
And that's sort of the antitrust question, I think, that folks are looking into.
Do you see a world in which, and I think you kind of just spoke to this, in which a Facebook or a Google could be broken up? Like, what is your idea of a solution to the antitrust issue specifically?
Do I think that there's precedent for breaking up companies like this on the right? Absolutely. I mean, Ronald Reagan broke up Ma Bell. Teddy Roosevelt was a trust buster. I mean, these things do happen. We need to be cautious, and we need to be careful, and we need to be prudent about how we do it. But I think this reflexiveness on the right to say, well, we can't even talk about it because that's just statism, is not appropriate. And I think a lot of conservatives are starting to go in that direction.
Who do you see as your allies, either on the Hill or around Washington, D.C., on this issue?
Well, Senator Josh Hawley has been a leader on this in the Senate. I respect what he's doing because a lot of people have silently acknowledged the problem or, kind of secretly acknowledged the problem, but no one's been brave enough to actually say, I have an idea. I respect the tactics that Hawley is taking to put ideas out there and force a conversation. Again, he may be wrong, but that's not for me to decide. That's for the legislators to decide. We're going to be doing a lot of media. We're going to try to give cover to these members who, again, have probably vastly different approaches to addressing these issues, but are saying, hey, we do need to take a second look at these companies.
I know when conservatives talk about this issue, sometimes what comes up is a conservative bias that has been documented. Is that something that IAP is concerned about and that you're going to approach and address in this project?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something we take seriously, and it's something conservatives take seriously. And I think these companies, and Google especially, as well as Facebook and Twitter, when they dismiss those concerns, that I think is a problem. And that's, again, they're giving fodder, I think, to a lot of these legislators who are saying, hey, maybe there is an issue here.
This is also a good way to sort of motivate the conservative base, though. I mean, is this in some ways a political motivator for conservatives to get up? And are you harnessing some of this excitement from conservatives ahead of the 2020 election on this issue?
Yes, I think the role of social media and Google and Amazon is going to motivate both the left and the right, to be honest. I mean, you see a lot of folks on the left very concerned about the role that these companies play in facilitating elections, and electoral bias and then political conversations on the left and the right. So I think, the Americans on both sides are very concerned about this. We want to take that energy and sort of have it facilitate these conversations among legislators because that's what they're supposed to be doing.
This is something also that President Trump cares a lot about. We see him talk about it. He had the social media summit at the White House. Just wondering what your thoughts were when you saw that social media summit. Is that the kind of conversation that you're hoping to foster?
His was, I think, a little bit more grassroots. Yeah, actual social media personalities and users. Yeah. I think which should have a say in this conversation. But I do think we're a little bit more focused on the policy side. I think Trump is very good at bringing attention to these issues, which I think has been helpful.